Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel here today. Today we're here for 2 more episodes of Mushi-Shi. Very excited to be jumping back in here towards the pointy end of Season 1. Episodes 24 and 25 coming right at you. I guess with the caveat that there is 3 left in the season, so I don't know what structure we're going to take. I wouldn't imagine that 4 or 24 would be the heavy one, right? If it is, then potentially 1 episode is on the cards because I'm a little bit late this week, so we could just be trying to catch up time there. If not, then the structure will go next week, where I think that, again, the last episode of a season would generally have something a little bit more important going on, you'd think. Anyway, we'll play it by ear. I don't know. Because what am I doing after 26 as well? Because I believe there's something between the 2 seasons, so I wouldn't just start Season 2, I think. I think there might be a movie. I don't know. I'll need to investigate. Same old, no YouTube comments over on my side, so we might as well just get a move on and shout out the Patreons and start watching. Let's go. Yes, the aforementioned Patreon. It's linked in the description below if you want to see what I'm doing next week. Potentially that's something that interests you. It's linked in the description below. $6 a month will get you that video 1 week early, as well as every other series on the channel. Pretty good deal, if you ask me. Many people have accessed such a deal, such as AJ, Acromancer, Bananarama Hamadama-sama, Capella, Chobaribi, Dapper Dwarf, Ed, Fancy Question Mark, Fruit, Gloriana Tenebrae, Glyke, Hans Peter, Ika, Yaku Yavanen, Charmy Boo, Joran, Kasogtha, Clem, Glick H, Lou, Master Detective, Matthew Bratcher, Mickey Babbers, Miru, Mistake L. Chen, Molly Weinberger, Mr. Maniacs, Parnick, Pencil Sharp 333, Pointed Snowdrop, Runlad B&K, St. Lily, Sal, Sam1373, Skeleton, Tentacle Member, Waifu Overdose, Without a Net, Binchy, Kelvin, Aidan O'Brien, Bisa, Fleur Nightingale, and Ossie. Thank you to everybody for giving me money. I enjoy the money. Mushishi is an episodic show, which I do not set up the same way I set up every other show. So, I don't know. It could be anything. And that's exciting. Last week was about Rust. It was odd. Anyway, let's jump in here to episode 24. Rightio, episode 24 up there ready to go. 23 minutes and 35 seconds on this one, so sync up accordingly with your own copy. Is that about the length as normal? It seems a little bit shorter, maybe. Weird. Anyway, psych version. Sync up with that version if you want to. If not, there's a picture-in-picture version in the description below. Let's give this thing a 3, 2, 1. Rightio. 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh, I like the colors. No opening as well. Light the fires, darkness is coming. Okay. I really like that, this kind of red and charcoal we got going on. What kind of fire is it? It looks like some kind of Mushi fire. It was a dream, my friend. Okay. What are you, what? Are you coughing that up? What did you do? I don't know, you're gonna have to tell me more stuff. What man? The journey to the field of fire. Like the Mushi fire we saw before? Or like an actual fire? Both valid. Yeah. I'd imagine we're coming back now to the start. Is she a Mushishi? Yahagi. Interesting. I like her voice. Yeah. If you listen to the kid for 2 more seconds, he would have told you. Well, projecting forward, I would seem that they're going to use a bunch of fire on the weeds, which is about the most anti-Mushishi sentiment you can do. And he read some of her literature. The name is ringing bells, actually. Don't do that. It's about the most rash and irresponsible decision you can make to deal with a weed. You know what else endangers lives? But I get it, right? Because if this thing shows no signs of stopping, then what is the solution then? I'm so in on this episode right now, by the way. Well, that's already a red flag. Ooh. It had fucking hella Mushi in it. Should have nipped that right in the bud. Three days is crazy, though. So, I mean, nobody really did anything wrong, besides the general idea of farming, which, I don't know, sue me if that's a sin. So they have tried other solutions. Shit, I don't know what to think, because burning's not a good idea either. I would agree. Yeah, what if it fucking likes fire? Can the kids, like, leave? We're having a pretty serious convo here. What kind of logic is that, by the way? It's tough. I understand both sides here, I really do. Alright, have fun. Have fun with the ghost fire. That's a weird looking piece of animation. Yeah, that again too. Yeah, Ginkgo's like, I don't know what you guys are doing. Then don't. Oh, I get it. No, I get what he meant. Okay. That's on me. I understood what he meant by that line. That's not a Ginkgo. You win more, you know. You get more flies with honey than vinegar. Bro, they're fucking fighting him. Don't fight him. Bit of ego in this for sure as well. Like being challenged by another Mushishi. You did. But it's nice to see you give a shit as well. I don't know. I don't think she puts a stop to it. Yeah, this is crazy. Everyone with the fire. What, they think it's... He doesn't know it's tonight, of course. Okay. Dude, he's crazy. Muscles. I didn't even consider that, but that's a great point. Fire's probably not going to fucking hurt it. And potentially do worse things. Well, you fucked it. Was it a particularly dry weed, or how's the fire spreading so quickly? It looks like it's the site of like a volcanic eruption right now. That's a great shot. That's fantastic. What do you see, Ginkgo? Yeah, this is stunning episode visually. I feel like shit right now. I feel like this is a great episode to talk about in contrast with previous episodes we've done of the show. Most certainly did. Also, did you contain the fire in any way? Did you backburn? Did you... Anyway. Ooh. Ooh, that sound. I don't like that. Motherfucker, that's the Holy Spirit? Kagebi. Kage like shadow? The Eminence Inn? So she knows immediately too. Oh, of course, she's really well read on the stuff. She's like a scholar. Okay, so it like kills people. Sure. I think with the layman, you just stick with don't touch fire that's lukewarm. Yeah, don't be a little bitch. Also, you're gonna die because you swallowed one of them, so that's probably not ideal. Did I say it was ego before? It's a little bit of ego still here, right? Especially not telling him that you've swallowed one. Oh, look at that fire over there. Yeah, let's go chill near that. I won't freeze to death at all. Anyway, it's very, very hard to spread out knowledge of things like this. Especially when it hides in already lit fires. That's insane. Come on now. You gotta play fair. Not near the baby. Oh, this is tragic, chat room. I don't like this. Don't think I've forgotten that you swallowed the fucking fire. I'm surprised we have that long left, honestly. Coughing up all the leaves like that's crazy. Is that some of its life cycle stuff? Maybe? It's if recent times have told us anything, it's very, very hard to spread information about the control of disease and like an infection or something. By me. I'm the experiment. I think you need some help. I mean, I would have been more honest sooner. This is pretty bleak. I really don't know what we're going to do here. I don't think anything will. But we'll give it a shot. Oh, he's actually so good. Yeah. Guess that makes sense. I mean, why not? Give it a go. It's gonna fucking hurt, though. Told ya. W? W! Yeah, keep going. That's a pretty hopeful old ending. I liked that. We won? Okay. Please leave this place. Okay. I think something I only just considered then, I guess humans will see just a normal fire floating through the air, where the Mushishi, the people that can see Mushi, will probably, see that, discolored fire flying through the air, if I can speak. That was a cool episode. It was really, really good. Dire is the word I would use. It is a tough situation morally. I think by the end we end in a happy place, albeit, again, a very Mushishi happy place. It's just going to, you're not going to go off someplace and die. We're going to find a solution. We're going to try every last thing we have, and you're going to gradually get better and continue to protect this place. There's a real sense of, like, there's a moral to this story almost, and we're trying to, it's a cautionary tale to maybe the audience, maybe that next village the fire's floating over to. I really, really enjoyed it. It was good. And yeah, I mean, why not? Just keep watching. Let's go to episode 25. And there we have it. Episode 25 up there ready to go. 23 minutes and 39 seconds on this one, so sync up accordingly with your own copy. I have the psych version. There's a picture-in-picture version in the description below. Let's give this thing a 3, 2, 1. Radio, 3, 2, 1, go. We finally get the opening. I was feeling, that episode, last episode, again, had that extra minute and a half from the opening, so I've kind of got a pretty good sense of a Mushishi episode's timing now, considering I've seen a good number of them. I was like, are we about to end when things seemed really bleak? And then I'm like, no, we still got plenty of time left, okay. And granted, it was still pretty bleak after we had a, hopeful, quote-unquote, ending. But yeah, I mean, I like the moral dilemma in that previous episode a lot. I think, both sides argue their point very well. Clearly, again, us being the audience and following the journey of Ginkgo, we probably know that Ginkgo is closer to correct, but he doesn't honestly have an answer either. He wants to wait, and I mean, 7 people died at least. That's pretty bad. But what would happen if we let the weed grow even more? Needless to say, we're still falling into that particular Mushi's trap. Very interesting one. I liked it quite a bit. I think this episode's called, like, Eye of Newt or something, I think I read, so yeah. Double, toil and trouble. Fireburn and cauldron bubble. And many other such cases. Your world. You may have noticed the cut I fucked up again, and it played the dub. Very cool. I keep doing that. Ooh. Her eyes look crazy. Looks like a flower almost. Ew. Little squid. I have fortune, I have misfortune. I guess. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that at all. Hit him with the yare yare. Ooh. Biwa? Little bit. Yeah, what a funny story. Show me those eyes now. Nobody, I lived it, bitch. It's getting dark. This is chill, okay. Look at the big guy. Yeah, you are, bitch. See, it's cute. They kidnapped him. Show me them damn eyes. Ganpuku. You saw a rare Pokemon, dude. Are we gonna replace them, or...? Fair enough. Hmm? I don't know about... I don't know about getting somebody else's eyes. So what's the go? She's like vision impaired, and then like we're trying to find some solution to that. Well, that's... Fuck that shit. That's some alien shit. It seemed pretty quick. Oh yeah. Once again, I'm getting a flower from it, you know? If like a flower's blooming. As a professional seer, not really. Look, it's our little friend, the Gampuku. Imagine seeing for the first time. That's insane. What a happy ending. Just end it now. Because on one hand, I have fortune. On the other, I have misfortune. Consider that. Correct. Who knows? Oh, so it's like supervision almost too. You're a fucking cheat. X-ray vision? Yeah, fucking settle down. Like what? How far? To the ocean? Motherfucker, you're insane. See no eye of misfortune. Motherfucker, you're seeing through space-time? You better start charging money. That's a lucrative business. I'm worried about this ability and its constant evolution. Do they always come true? Yeah. Okay. So it's not even seeing the future with any benefit. Fair enough. What is this? What is this now? Mm-hmm. See, it's not what you want, is it? So you're a bit of a drifter. Not even, now you just live here. But you were for a time. Can you see me now? Try to mirror? Go back to being blind again, essentially. So you want to bury them deep, deep down. I'm cognizant of that as well. You will pull out my eyes. It almost works like that, you know. And Ginkgo's like, damn, guess I'm gonna fucking pull out her eyes. She's fucking got his ass. Stop stealing my bit. Interesting. Interesting. I think we knew that, right? Yeah, but I've been too close to the brightest of lights for so long. Agreed. I'm with her. And I mean, for the record, she seems to, like, her clairvoyance says that he is going to rip out the eyes, so I guess she was convincing. What is happening? Well, the eyes have disappeared by themselves? So what? I saw my eyeballs falling out of my own head, I think was what we saw there. Eyes on the inside? He doesn't have any phone reception. Yeah, this is an interesting turn. So, I think Ginkgo, if left untreated, would have stalled. But he can't really stall as things stand right now. Which, weirdly enough, he's forced into action. I think the eyeballs are reaching the end of their life cycle. Oh, no, ew. I hate that. Did Ginkgo set up this elaborate trap? Great question. Do tear ducts work? I would imagine so. Yeah. Time to look up some human biology, I guess. Alright, what are you gonna do with those little two freaky Gunpaku eyes? Bury them deep in the mountain? So true. And probably not ideal. Yeah, what is she to do now? Biwa? Another really good one. I want to say the really obvious thing that this is like inspired by, and it seems to be some kind of folktale legend in Japan. There's a girl, and she's playing a biwa, and she's blind, and she can see the future. I don't know if you guys have seen Heike Monogatari, but that is the main character to a T. So again, that's all based off the same thing there. Again, we'll do our research here in but a moment, but I can see that pretty plainly. Yeah, it's a really, really intriguing... Like, there's that part in the middle where it's like, hey, well... The kind of back and forth between Ginkgo... And did she have a name? Am I stupid? Anyway. About the contrast between the light and the dark. And how Ginkgo eventually found salvation, and he wants her to do that eventually, but... It's like, no, I've been too close to the sun for too long, you know? All my life has been light. I just want darkness now. And I think the key is that she's actually pretty convincing there with her argument. Like, hey, no, I just want everything to stop. I've experienced both, like, blindness and the most super, mega, super giga sight ever, and I'd rather be blind. Like, there's something in that for sure. And yeah, we'll roll right into it, analyzing these two episodes. Why not, of course? Yeah, let's do that right now. And we have returned episodes 24 and 25 in the books here. Both very good. Probably liking 24 more than 25, but again, both in the higher echelon of Mushi-Shi episodes, I would say. I think the point of difference for episode 24 here is the really interesting dilemma at the middle of it, right? Like, obviously side with Ginkgo because, again, he's the main character. But divorced from that, say you watch this episode first time through and you're like, shit, well, hey, I don't know who Ginkgo is, I don't know who Yanagi is, or whatever her name was. Hey, like, I don't know which side to stand on. I'm pretty sure I'd be there. Because Ginkgo's thing is that he wants to protect life and preserve life at all costs. Literally burning a field to the ground is pretty much the worst thing that you could possibly do. But in this situation, Ginkgo doesn't really know what's going on yet. He's not particularly knowledgeable. It's a new species. And again, he's got one of the most talented scholars in the profession already looking at it and struggling. And there's a time element to this, right? Ginkgo, hey, we need a decision quickly. This thing's taking out the village, the crops. People are going to starve. Like, we specifically see these lines from these villagers later on when they're cutting down the trees, right? Like, hey, this sucks for us too. We're not happy about us needing to chop down these trees, but it's a necessary evil, right? And that's kind of where Yanagi's coming from it as well. Excuse me, it's not Yanagi, it's Yahagi, of course. Okay, so now we fixed that one up. I knew it was wrong. I knew there was an H in there somewhere. Anyway, I feel like this is almost a flaw of Ginkgo, in my opinion, and his character. He often waits, and that waiting is often a virtue. But sometimes it's the wrong tact to take as well. Like here, yeah, we've made the mistake of burning the thing, obviously, right? Like, that's what the thing wanted us to do. That's what kind of the Mushi's life cycle said to do, you know, to, like, make the fire things happen or whatever the fuck. It was a bit weird, but I don't think waiting and letting the weed grow more and more and more would have been the solution. I think eventually we're going to find somebody, no matter what, who is going to light this thing on fire. So it's almost at this point, hey, why not just cut this thing off, this whole system off, and then, you know, start anew, really try to spread that information about what the fire does to people and whatnot, try to, again, spread that information out through the community and kind of live with it from there. I feel like that's not a terrible tact to take. Obviously, again, just more communication needed there between the Mushishis in the episode and the villagers. I think an interesting one to contrast this episode with is, whatever episode it was, the one with the fucking weird children that grew out of the ground. Because Ginkgo is almost immediately like, hey, no, we need to kill these things now. We need to take this all out. This is a bad thing that is happening. It will only get worse. Again, he sees how it gets worse later on, but he's of the general knowledge that this is not something that we should allow to perpetuate. And again, through the course of the episode, he is convinced to allow it to perpetuate, and indeed it does get worse. Ginkgo gets stabbed. It's bad. And lighting it on fire, which is a nice link between the two episodes, is indeed the solution there. So again, like, that's not too dissimilar here, you know? It's just, like, Ginkgo's on the other end of the equation because he like, doesn't know. He's almost in the place of the parents in that, in the Weird Alien Child episode, right? Where it's like, hey, no, why don't we let this thing go on a little bit longer? Burning everything seems a little bit rash. The Mushi are kind of like Ginkgo's children in a little bit of a weird way, too, so... Interesting. So yeah, that's the crux of why I find the episode as fascinating as I do. And the villagers being kind of dumb, it didn't really bother me that much, which again continues to happen here. I don't know, I guess Mushi stuff is all very hush-hush. It's hard to keep abreast of it all and to believe people sometimes. Again, I believe what my eyes sees, and this weed is bad. We need to get rid of it. I think the next episode, episode 25, benefits from some great visual stuff with kind of representing the clairvoyance and the super side and stuff, just like layers of the kind of backgrounds and whatnot disappearing in tandem. I felt like that was a really good representation there, as well as the meditations of Ginkgo and his own experience with sheer darkness and no light and blindness. Again, he's half blind. He doesn't have one eye over here, you know. And talking to somebody that has experienced both is kind of very similar to Ginkgo in a lot of ways, right? Where it's like, okay, I have both experienced the extreme over this side, blindness, and the extreme over this side, super sight, and again, I choose the darkness, which is interesting. Again, Ginkgo is the perfect like middle of that, if that makes any sense. If we're drawing a spectrum, she's been over to the far left, she's been over to the far right. Ginkgo always remains in the middle, almost on that axis point, right? With one side of him representing the light, one side representing the darkness, right? So like, he'd be a great person to bounce ideas off of there, I think, right? Like, that's just an inherently interesting conversation to me. And yes, I looked it up. So, along with it being a trope in a million other Japanese properties, I just saw I believe that's Yuasa's Inu O. I believe there's a character similar to that as well, which is interesting. Both of those being made by Science Saru, that and Heike story, Heike Monogatari. As well as there's a character in Demon Slayer that's apparently similar as well. Not that I'm particularly knowledgeable there. They're all based on the general concept of Biwa Hoshi, which are these blind female musicians that would recite tales, epics of old, and play the biwa. They were performers. So again, they would recite tales of old, such as Heike Monogatari. And again, that ties deeply into the themes of that show in a way that I won't dive into here because it would make me sad. It would make me sad, and it is probably a 10-minute rant, if I'm honest. It's a very, very good show. Please watch Heike Monogatari. It's very, very good. Have you heard about this Naoko Yamada lady? She's very good at... Anyway, we're not going to go into that. Yeah, let's dive back through here, see what we can see. I am a little bit short on time, as I did explain, so if this is a little bit on the shorter side, that's probably why. Even again, both episodes here, frustratingly, are very interesting, though, so limiting the time here, not ideal, but might need to happen, we'll see. We start the episode with some narration just generally involving the themes. I do like the discussion there about light and dark again. I felt like that was pretty pointed. It's a pretty constant thing in the show, I might add, before we see Yahagi here following one of the flames, and it's revealed that this is a dream sequence. It's essentially a nightmare where, you know, the flame comes down, that Mushi flame, which I am now going to grab a word for because it's frustrating me. Kagebi, of course, sure. Which people were telling me that it roughly translates to shadow fire or ghost fire, which again, Kage in that is pretty pointed. Again, this fire drains the heat from people. It's like reverse fire. As opposed to giving out heat, it takes in heat. Either way, in Yahagi's nightmare here, she's seeing people surrounding it and making themselves sicker. It's a cautionary tale again. It's you know, I did a bad thing and these are the consequences of it. It is haunting her in her moments. We could see that this is after she lights the fire as well, as she is coughing up the leaves here. This is as her sickness is getting worse before we go way back in the timeline and see what caused this to occur. We'll kind of come back in here when it's a little bit snowier out and Ginkgo returns. And I mean, we'll talk about it more as we continue, but this is one of the more gorgeous Mushishi episodes. That's another big tick in its favor. It is, I really love this episode. I think it's great. The deep contrast between the reds and the charcoals and all the colors they used, the kind of weird ethereal nature of the fire as well. Just some of the color work is stunning here. Stunning, I say. It's very well done. It's a pretty subtle line early, but I do like this from the kids. So this is way back at the start of the timeline, of course. Ginkgo comes in here and he says, "Hey, do you guys know a Mushi-Shi around here?" And they don't know the term. And they're like, "Oh, I guess he must mean Yahagi." I think this is crucial in demonstrating early the general understanding of Mushi from the rest of the village, which is not strong. They don't even know what a Mushi-Shi is. That's insane. When you have one of the most talented scholars in the profession right here, and you don't know even what they're called, you just know that she's, you know, a little bit mystical. Again, you need to have an unknowledgeable populace for the things of the episode to occur the way they do. And yeah, I think they show that off in a nice way here early. On the rewatch here as well, I think it's pretty clear why they're cutting down the trees too. Okay, yeah, because they're discussing that here with Yahagi, some of the men of the village. It's to prevent the fire from spreading even further. So they're going to light this field on fire where this, you know, particular weed is located, whilst, you know, creating a barrier to stop that fire from spreading any further than we want it to. Otherwise, we've just lit a bushfire and it's going to be insanely bad. So again, I said in the reaction that they're not doing any preparation here. How dare they just light a fire? They were doing preparation. I was being stupid. I was a dum-dum. So this is a general question. I don't really want to go back through digging here, but Yahagi, I feel like that name has been mentioned in a previous episode. Thinking about the nature of the literature of the show, it probably is in that episode with, oh my god, she had a name. But the lady, she runs the archive and continues to write forever and ever and ever to get rid of her birthmark. I feel like that name was maybe mentioned in that episode or something. Maybe I just imagined that, but if people know, was she mentioned earlier? I feel like she was. And yeah, just taking a step back as well, I feel like this is a really crucial element of the episode as well. Yahagi knows her shit. She's a really, really talented young Mushi that has a lot of published literature and is kind of revered. Like, Ginkgo knows her like reputation precedes her. Like, she's she's exhausted all possible explanations here, and he's decided to burn it. Like, isn't that very similar to what you did with the fucking stupid kids, right? The alien kids that needed to die. Like, you just burned them. Again, I'm being really charitable to Yahagi here. I think that she really did have a point here. Because I think an early surface level take here is that obviously, again, themes of the show, I think burning the entire mountain to get rid of one Mushi and taking all the life along with it is the bad thing. I think that's not good. But I counter, what option did she have, honestly? And I mean, I guess I'll talk about it now because it's on the mind. In the burning scene, we depict it so brutally. Like, look at the fire spreading and the animals just like struggling with it. The fire's failing to be contained. It seems like it's breached this tree line almost as well. Like, it's such a terrible, and like a real volcanic element to it as well. It looks like a land that has been like burned with lava. Just stunning moment. Just, yeah, I was floored by it. The pride of Yahagi is a crucial element here as well. There's a general tone of like frustration that Ginkgo is almost here on her territory. Like, she really trusts her own skills here and doesn't really want to listen to any other answers. Thinks that Ginkgo, being like from a faraway land, doesn't have this connection, doesn't know what this land means to these people, means that he's making, like airy-fairy calls without making the hardline decisions that you need to make to keep the people around her safe. She's closer, and her feelings are more intense about it, right? She almost gets territorial and protective of the village, which makes their eventual deaths like even the more tragic, right? She deeply cared about the people. Like, she knows what she's doing is wrong textbook Mushishi-wise, but she thinks that she needs to make the hard decisions, and thinks that Ginkgo's potentially talking from a condescending place of being oh so high and mighty. Yeah, the ego here is a thing to watch for sure. She probably lets it get the better of her, honestly. Now, this is something in the show that I'm not getting tired of. We are so good at introducing a Mushi early on that seems innocuous, that seems fine, but quickly spreads out of control and like really puts this like pit in your stomach of something being kind of amiss or wrong. We do it in the next episode as well. We do it with her eyes. Again, it starts off and she can just see, and it's awesome, and then it progresses and progresses and progresses to the point where it disassociates herself from everybody else around her. Like that's. I never get tired of that growing escalation feeling in these episodes, despite how many times it's used. I think it's one of the things we are just really good at in these stories. There's this element here of like awakening this ancient evil almost, We've pulled up this rock, we just kind of let it sit as we were plowing the field or whatever. A weed grew out of it. We didn't really think much of it, and then, lo and behold, a little bit later, it had spread over the whole field. It was, 3 days of rain. That's all it took. The life cycle of this Mushi is very interesting now that we can talk about it in retrospect in the rewatch of the episode, where it kind of grows, right? Spreads out along everything, is the most invasive weed ever, essentially, right? And then just kind of hopes that humans will burn it, and then that gets the Kagebi out and spreads the weed all over again, because if people ingest it, then they cough out more weeds, and it grows and it grows, and it's so once again, you have like a genuine kind of life cycle here with the Mushi as well. It feels really lived in and thought about, and like the system works, It's one of, again, another one of Mushi-Shi as a show's really great concepts. I don't know, let's not think about it as plants for a moment and think about it as, I don't know, something else. Just, I don't know, an invasive species of animal or something, right? If there was an invasive species somewhere, right, that grew up, spread out so very quickly, and literally poisoned everything else, every other life around it, we would want to burn that motherfucker. It's essentially like in science fiction Alien. Like, it's gotta go, buddy. Like, that's what I mean when I'm with her. I'm with you, man. This thing sucks. Like, the same way it's poisoning the plants, right? What if it starts poisoning the animals? What if it starts poisoning the humans? We're letting it encroach on the village, man. It's gotta go. I don't know, man. I'm playing for the other team here. Ginkgo's suggestion is stupid. He tells people to gather and pull up every single weed, no matter how long it takes, as opposed to burning them all and making that rash decision. Again, burning them all bad, I know that. But gathering enough people to pull up every single weed? You saw how fast that thing spread in 3 days. This is a Herculean task, and I don't think I don't think it's feasible, right? I think that eventually it would just come back somehow. I think eventually, unless we progress it to its next evolution of its kind of life cycle, we're not really making any progress at all, you know? I think Ginkgo also makes some emotional mistakes in the episode, I guess. I don't know. He's right, though, so it's hard. But, like, he's like, you're just acting like this because you're frustrated that you didn't notice the Mushi earlier and it got to this level. And now again, I'm another professional coming in here, diagnosing the problem, and you get territorial. Your ego as a Mushishi is being attacked, and that's how you view that. She's very short with Ginkgo here as well. Please be on your way now. Ginkgo doesn't heed that advice. But by that same token, Ginkgo shouldn't call her out like that and say, you're just acting this way because XYZ. That's not fair either. He calls the village a pack of monkeys or something a little bit later on too. That's not ideal. Again, I tried to say it, but I fumbled the line in the reaction. You get more flies with honey than with vinegar. You gotta ease it a little bit, Ginkgo. Normally he's a pretty good people person, but like, I don't know. He himself let the frustration get the better of him as well. I don't know, maybe deep down he knows that she's got some great points as well, and is stubbornly almost trying to hold on to his personal philosophy. Again, fascinating to me. I wonder where other people land on it. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention this. I felt like this was a really interesting piece of animation with the tree, if VLC wants to behave. You can kind of see it there a little bit. It's almost like, I don't know, because, again, the way I understand animation, and I'm not perfect, but we've drawn a background here and we're animating a dude on top of it. So there's a layer here where there's a dude on top of it, right? Like, that's how it works generally. Because we're not painting and repainting every single frame when the background is stagnant. That's when, you know when an object, if it's going to move in a scene, will look slightly different than the background? That's the reason why. Like, we're not redrawing this every single time we draw a frame. So what we're doing here is almost taking, like, a piece of the background, if that makes any sense. Like here, and we're just, like, shaking it slightly and layering it and moving it downwards to make a tree that naturally kind of fits into the background move. And then we draw a bunch of little dots off it to look like the leaves. Again, in a pause frame, it looks really naturalistic, but I'm unsure about the movement. I don't know, I scarcely see it. In a lot of other shows, I think that you would have this as a stagnant background, and this would be, it would look different. It would look like it is going to move and look like something that we've drawn multiple times instead of something we've drawn once and are just moving. Yeah, so the movement looks unnatural, but it looks better kind of blended. Yeah, I just thought it was intriguing. And again, probably some animation nerds can talk to it with a bit more authority. This interaction here with the villager as well feels like I don't know, it feels very environmentalist as well. Like, hey, you may have this argument that your family's lives are at risk, that you're just doing what you're told, that you're just doing this, doing that, but you are destroying the environment in doing so, right? I get that you, in your personal circumstances right now, think that this is the right thing to do, and it is short-term beneficial for you to do so, but you got to think big picture. You got to think about the overall environment. You got to think about the overall ecosystem and the effect that this will have. Again, it feels very environmentalist. In that way, it is very, very easy. And again, like in real life, people get frustrated when you call them out on such things. It's like, hey, no, you don't understand. You're too far away. You don't understand how close I am here. I like this place too. I like this land. It's not easy for me to do this, but it's something we have to do, you know? Again, in many ways, they reflect the feelings of Yahagi. Like, they literally call him an outsider here. It's pretty obvious. And then, yeah, I mean, he calls them panicking monkeys and gets locked up. I mean... I would have taken a different tact, man. Oh, I missed this here too, because then Yahagi comes in. That is why man learned to use fire, is it not? That's the point at which kind of we evolved. We ascended, right? That's when we skyrocketed in the evolutionary stakes. So she's basically saying, no you, a little bit to Ginkgo. Your solution of asking everybody to pull up every single weed is about as useful as a pack of panicking monkeys or whatever we called them before. Like, we should use the tools we have as humans, right? Fire. We've evolved to this point. Let's use it. And now this line is clearly in the episode because man using fire is a crucial element of this Mushi's life cycle. They've learned to adapt from us even learning to use fire, you know? So, hey, I think that that's all very pointed and talks to a very coherent idea in the episode. And yeah, then Ginkgo gets locked up, exchanges some barbs with Yahagi verbally, Just not, again, he gets a bit frustrated, Ginkgo. That's okay. I do like seeing Ginkgo paired with other Mushishi. It is nice to see somebody that's on his level. Very often he comes in knowing everything, being the one voice of reason to what a Mushi is and, you know, how to fix a certain situation, and everybody else almost has to be dumb around him. Like, think about the Rust episode. Like, everyone else has to be dumb. They're not going to listen to him. It's stupid. Anyway, I do like the presence of another person that at least somehow knows what's going on here and could bounce ideas off of him. I just found it really refreshing. Some of the plotting of the episode gets a little bit cumbersome here. Ginkgo needs to leave, and then Yahagi needs to say we're going to burn it tonight, and then he needs to find out that they're burning it tonight and smash his way out of prison. That's a little bit clunky. I feel like we could have just fixed that up and truncated it a little bit, but it's fine ultimately. And Ginkgo essentially has a hunch here as well that, hey, this thing's also coming from volcanic rock, so burning it's probably not the best idea as well. So again, once again, proven correct, but it is just a hunch. There's a really pronounced moment here as well where Yahagi says, let's burn it all, which is the point of no return, you know? And I've been through it already. This is absolutely gorgeous. This, to me, obviously, I'm using my own experience here, but it's evocative of Australia. Again, we have so many bushfires, and yeah, seeing such contrast between the dark of the night and the fire as well is something that's, you know, it resonates with me personally almost, you know. I've seen this, and it's not good. It was really affecting, you know. I think it's beautiful, this scene. I really do. Like, that's, dude, we know what we're doing here. Absolutely. Maybe that's a structure for next week as well. I could watch 26 and then maybe do a Mushi-Shi episode tier list or something. That could be fun, and I could briefly give some thoughts about the 26 episodes thus far and where I would rank them, I guess. I don't know, food for thought. Again, if people have feelings one way or the other, please let me know. As I've spoken about previously as well, the sound design in this show is immaculate. The cracking of the dead kind of plant here, the burnt out remains as the Kagebi escapes, is haunting. It is a great sound effect here. It feels like something cracking out of an egg almost. It really feels quite alien and scary. I do like some of the instant storytelling here as well. Both Yahagi and Ginkgo both instantly know what a Kagebi is and how dangerous it is. They're like, oh shit, they didn't know the start of the life cycle, but these things are fucking bad. These are a bad Mushi. Like, fucking Yahagi here instantly starts telling everybody to go inside and run away. Cover up containers. This thing is a menace, essentially. And now, again, I'm regretting everything. Just instant severity is conveyed to the audience in a very, very cool way. And yeah, I mean, we watched the episode. It's a fire that's like a reverse fire. It's a ghost fire. It takes heat away as opposed to giving heat out. And slowly but surely, if you're too close and too, I guess, ignorant to it and not as safe as you should be, don't show caution, you will die. You'll sap all of your body heat. Now keep this in mind as Yahagi says this, because we just saw that she swallowed one herself. So that can't be fucking good to her at all. And the way I understand it is it's consumed enough body heat from inside Yahagi, right, to the point where it's starting to sprout and poison her from the inside. Like, I feel like that's what's going on there. That's why she's coughing up leaves of the plant. It's because a plant has sprouted in her stomach. I don't really understand the Kagebi Hidane distinction there. I think that that's a little bit odd. They say that it's the Mushi at the core of the Kagebi, but I guess Kagebi is the fire, the ghost fire. There's a little dude in there that saps body heat. Sure. For the record, Hidane on Jisho, it says that it's like coals or like a fire starter type thing, like a, you know, so it would sit at the core of a fire. That's kind of interesting. Okay, no need to be catty here. That's, yeah. That's not great from her. Like, essentially, Ginkgo comes over, having escaped, and says, oh, that's weird. I didn't know that it would be Hidane. And then it's like, too bad it wasn't a new species, huh? For you and your investigation. That's just, ew, yuck. Be better. I know you just got poisoned, but be better. But Ginkgo's parting words here, in the short term, are don't take it all on yourself, right? Again, pride. Pride, for sure. Because you don't tell Ginkgo here that you've been infected until, like, here in the episode. That's probably not ideal either. If we solved your health earlier, potentially you could be more of a use in helping everybody else prevent more deaths from the Kagebi, right? Like, that would be ideal. And also, hey, maybe you could have called Ginkgo back over sooner if you didn't get a little bit territorial and a little bit catty about it as well. Like, Ginkgo could have stayed around and sticked around and helped to spread the knowledge and help prevent other deaths from the Mushi. Like, again, you're trying to be all things to everybody constantly and protect your village and get a little bit threatened by Ginkgo and make some rash decisions as well. Again, Ginkgo's he's not perfect, but you're not perfect either. Once again, like a really perfectly threaded moral dilemma, I would say. Through these next few scenes, we just see the Kagebi do its thing. People, get a little bit complacent and don't really follow through on all the things that they've probably been told. To me, in current year, this just reminds me of a few years ago so very much. Just people constantly not understanding things and not listening. Like, that is the tail of the tape, isn't it, really? Where I do think it gets a little bit... I understand why you did what you did is when it infests already lit fires. Like, that's not fair. Come on. Take a day off. Like, again, they can't see the Mushi. It's just all fire to them, It must be so hard. It all comes to a head very quickly in the episode. Things start going wrong. She sees the Kagebi spreading around, making everybody cold. And then, at that same point, she gets sick and, she didn't tell Ginkgo about the sickness as well. So, all the things that could have gone wrong went wrong immediately. All the things that Ginkgo kind of warned her about. Don't take this all on yourself. Be honest. Tell me about things. Send a message to me if you need. I'm happy to help. All these kind of lessons were ignored, and the results are there to see. It takes until the winter before Ginkgo is back and tries to help the current situation. I think somewhere in the middle there would have been the nightmare from the very start of the episode as well. I think a little anecdote here that's quite important as well is it takes people dying from something for everybody else to start taking information seriously. Once again, I apply it to my own circumstances and kind of bushfires and stuff. It's probably taken people dying and having really terrible, really deadly bushfires in this country for people to start actually taking stuff super seriously and calling things out when we see it and blah, 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 blah. We're probably heading for a summer that's going to be bad in that regard again, but it takes, terrible situations for people to almost start to heed advice and heed warnings. And I think that's just natural of humans. And I feel like that's a really interesting thought to have, and it applies to this case quite well. What we talk about here as well is that if we eliminate the Hidane, then we can kill the fire, essentially. And that's what we've been going around doing. It's according to the literature, but what's not according to the literature is if you swallow one, it'll infect the inside of yourself, something that is currently happening to Yahagi. So again, her human body is acting as the container for that fire. Her solution here is to go off somewhere, fuck off, and just die. Which then Ginkgo's no, you must live sense activates, essentially. We've seen it probably towards 15 times in the show now. Whenever somebody is resigned to death and resigned to just living out the rest of their days and waiting to die, something flips in him and he knows that that's not the correct answer and tries to find a solution with all his might. I guess seeing that happen to somebody that, again, is a professional Mushishi and, seeing that befall somebody, very similar to himself, is confronting to him as well. The look on Ginkgo's face here is quite pronounced. He's pretty shocked at it all, And she's quite apologetic here. She almost thinks of this happening to her as, her own mistake. And this is the punishment for it, for burning the field when I shouldn't have. Again, she's clearly tormented by it. She's having nightmares and whatnot about it. So she's done some soul searching. It does a lot for a character when they can change their mind and realize that they probably made the wrong decision. Even if, again, I understand why you did so. Obviously now Ginkgo then sees this and goes, okay, let's think about this. There has to be a solution here. Ginkgo even admitting his own faults here a little bit as well, saying, no, this is your people's fight. You can't just end it by yourself. You need to involve the people around you. You can't be that proud, but it's also not mine. I can't step in on your territory and try to take your thing. This is your land. It's ascribed to you. There's so much of that in the show as well. So again, Ginkgo takes a step back and doesn't try to, I guess, involve himself too much and make too many decisions and be too overbearing. He's probably done some self-reflection on his actions earlier as well, maybe. So let me talk through the fucking Mushi science of this. Ginkgo then catches a Kagebi, right? He's going to put the fire He's going to cook something with the fire, excuse me, and then that's going to go into the stomach. It's going to start that life cycle all over again, and it's going to burn the weed that's inside of her, right? And then, again, she'll still have it inside of her, and then it'll just keep going and going until it dies out, I think. Right, so we need to do it slow going, but we're going to get rid of the weed eventually. It's going to tucker itself out, you know? So, like, sure, just slow going, just keep eating food made by this Mushi. The poison is the cure is the poison type energy. I think it's pretty pronounced, and again, brings us to that point where Ginkgo is satisfied that this person is going to continue to live and has hope to continue to be themselves and to live for the betterment of the village as well. It's a pretty heartwarming little ending, pardon the pun. Yeah, we kind of trick it with a false fire. That's the idea. Okay, sure. I mean, I missed that element. Why not? So yeah, actively starts poisoning herself to cure herself. It's all very fun and stuff. But again, more importantly, makes that active decision to continue. Continue despite what ails me. And a metaphor I talk about a lot in the show, kind of something sprouting from the kind of end of a bushfire, right? You know, new life spawning, new beginnings, new hope. That is a great kind of visual metaphor to end the episode on, you know. Yahagi's going to continue to be here doing her thing. There's new hope, new life, new lessons to be had. You know, we've had our disaster. People died. The whole fields got burnt. But we're going to be better from it. And that's, again, like really inspiring stuff. Oh, and I must talk about the very end as well. There's really kind of ominous kind of tone to it as well. As we see a Kagebi kind of fly through the air towards somebody else down the valley. Will this same kind of situation repeat itself, you know? Will there be another weed? Will there be another kind of spreading of it? Will man light fire to it again? Will we continue to make the same mistake? Tie that into the environmentalism kind of theme in the episode as well. Like, will we just continue that same cycle of pride and not listening to one another and blah, 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 blah? I think it's a really foreboding kind of cautionary tale that, again, is applicable to everything, right? It's applicable to another village down the road that might go through the same thing, but it's applicable to our lives in so many ways as well. I think it's a really, really, like, awesome ending. I think it really made me think, and it left me on my toes. It feels kind of, this is weird, it feels like the end of the Lorax, you know? Unless, you know, and if you know there, unless we do something, the same kind of situation here will repeat itself, you know? Yeah, wonderful. No notes. Brilliant. This is like a top 3 episode, by the way. It's so good. And I do think something that really separates it is the actions of Ginkgo not being perfect, not being like perfectly morally correct as well. I think it's such a different look for the show. And I like that a lot. I like it when he can bounce off another different Mushi. A similar thing, not a Mushi, happens in this episode as well, with our main character here, whose name is Amane, of course, where, again, she can't see, but has also obviously been touched by Mushi and blah, 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 blah. She's knowledgeable about these things, and he can, again, bounce ideas off of her pretty naturally. The episode here starts early in Amane's story, where she sees the flower kind of spawn in her eye and her vision begin. The first thing that she sees is the Ganpaku Mushi as well, the little squid guy. And again, the narration there, I have all the other senses, I only miss sight, but I have all I need without it, you know. And again, that's the tale, that's the takeaway, right? I don't need my sight if my sight is going to be this intense, if it's going to be a light that burns so very brightly. I mean, this very obviously ties into episode 12. Like, it's so obvious to me, it's crazy. Like this deep, deep darkness with one light in the middle, and this yin and yang of it, right? Getting too close one side, not too close another side, needing to maintain that balance. And again, visually, just that light and the darkness connecting to the early experiences of Ginkgo, something which we explore further later in the episode. Just, yeah, you can have too much of a good thing, for sure. Everything in moderation. Is there a Mushi we've seen in the show that is black strands of hair, or at least similar to it? I feel like that's ringing bells, even if I can't remember it specifically. Gets into your nose so you can't sleep. That's all ringing bells, isn't it? There was an episode about insomnia, I remember. It was the mother. Did that one look like hair? No, it was kind of like a shadow. Anyway, Weird. Maybe she is talking about something that we, the audience, also are knowledgeable of, but it's clear that she's talking about Mushi. It's very, very easy here to get Ginkgo interested, at least. In the early parts of this episode, this is some good comedy, by the way, and these characters over here are just delightful. I like how much we hide her eyes. Again, I was looking for it because I wanted to confirm the whole Biwa Hoshi thing, because I knew about Heike Monogatari. But yeah, like that is the point of difference, but also shows that she doesn't want to open them. It ties into her story very explicitly. Like, she doesn't want to use that ability. She wants to run away from the light as opposed to embracing it. Yeah, the episode overall with its message really threads that needle really well. It is still continuing despite. Even again, I want to go back to the way I was before. That in of itself is her own salvation, if that makes any sense, you know, like that's interesting. That's a different look for the show yet again. I'm almost taking something away from myself. I'm almost like injuring myself, you know, taking myself back to the earlier stage in my healing process. Like, she walks away and she's going to be a wanderer, and she seems better for it rather than being cursed with all this knowledge. I don't know. It's such, once again, morally interesting. It's not black and white, you know. That's not even including the stuff with the fox, but we'll talk about that. That's insane to me. Oh, here's something I wish we did better in the episode. So again, Biwa Hoshi, she's a storyteller. I think a really, really interesting direction for the episode would be to have the Biwa playing constantly and to frame the story, the backstory that makes up a good part of the episode through a story that she is telling to Ginkgo through song. I feel like that would really, really elevate this episode. It would make it insane. It'd make it insanely good. But no, again, I understand why it's logistically very difficult to do, but it could have really elevated it. It would have been unreal. Because again, she goes to grab the Biwa to tell her own story, to tell the story of her father, to tell the story of how her eyes weren't all that useful. And we can almost imagine that she's telling the story again, because that's what she's doing to Ginkgo, telling all these stories in that way. Either way, the kicker here is, like, go bury these eyes of mine in the mountains. Again, even though they work quite well, even though they work too well, I still want them gone. I want them out of me. So again, running out of time, need to go through this at some pace. Please excuse me. So we're going to skip over a lot of the stuff where I explain where we are in the story. I'm going to assume that you've seen the episode before. Probably twice. So yeah, I think an interesting thing here, divorced from all of that, is this eye that starts it all, right? Because now we've seen the life cycle of the Ganpaku, right? We've seen that it eventually exits the body and leaves a person without their eyes, you know? He thinks that he's picked this up from somebody that died and we've just taken their eyes and we're going to see the Mushi. But no, it's probably, you know, the eyes just exited the body and then somebody just, like, caught them and kept them and stuff. And as we see here, as he cuts into the shell, as, you know, the shell didn't break by itself, the thing escapes immediately. Like, that's, yeah, it's not what we think early on here. It's not somebody's cursed eye, it's just the natural life cycle of this thing. And Dad here himself is a Mushishi, so he's no slouch, and we do anecdotally say from Ginkgo earlier that this is a Mushi that is pretty rare, so we're going to give him a lot of the benefit of the doubt. He just really wants to help his daughter be able to see. It's fair enough. I see every day, and it's pretty good. I don't know how I would live if I was blind. It's really, you know, mind-blowing that people do. So I understand his plight, I guess. Here we're back to the start of the episode. The little fella escaped. He's out in the forest. About a month later, again, Amane's just out here having a look, and she starts to see a flower start in her vision. She's like, oh, is this what it means to, like, see? And then her vision spawns from there. It's this crazy kind of fortuitous, like, miracle that occurs. It's insane. The idea of the flower blooming is interesting too. It was closed off before, but now it's spread out. But again, there's also a natural life cycle to a flower as well. It will try to escape and spread its seeds and, you know, wilt and grow again and do all that other kind of stuff through its lifespan. So yeah, I mean, yeah, attach that into the life cycle of the Ganpaku, I think. It's tied kind of intrinsically to a flower almost too. Also like attaching this into the light and dark motif, the same way that flowers need sunlight. I think that's It's all very pointed as well, and to the eventual decision that she makes to forego sunlight, that means that the flower's forever going to stay closed. It's never going to bloom. That process, and it'll just wilt away, you know? These early scenes here where she's just seeing for the first time and starting to appreciate the colors and the sight of her friends and family and stuff are really, really heartwarming. It's really well done. It makes you feel so damn good right here. And then, but again, you know that it's a Mushishi episode. You know that shit must go fucking downhill pretty quick after that. I don't know. It was inspiring in the moment, but it's, yeah, in retrospect, it's a little bit like, oh shit, it's just gonna get fucked. I think the use of a sunset as one of the first things she sees here as well is obviously pointed. We're talking about the moon quite a bit later on as well as the sun being that first light, and that being such an inspiring thing to Ginkgo. The general idea of the kind of dichotomy between light and dark, sitting at that precipice right now, you know, is a sunset. That's, yeah. And again, Ginkgo is also a sunset inherently as well. She's experienced both extreme light and dark. It's this transition point between it all. Maybe again, this is even a sunrise for her, as, you know, it's hard to say, actually. It's probably, do we say? To me, it looks a sunset, but it's still evocative for her transitioning away from the dark into the light, you know? I think something that's probably a little bit underbaked in the episode is the relationship between Amane here and her friends. Again, we only do have 23 minutes. It is difficult to kind of get across the entire breadth of the situation, but it feels pretty paper thin here, her friends and her friendships and stuff. I guess it goes to show that her relationship with other people around her becomes transactional as her talent grows, as she differs herself once again. Like, it goes to show, you know, you can be othered by being, you know, one side of a spectrum and be othered by being another side of the spectrum as well. Like you have a disability over this side, but you have like a super ability over this side. Both don't allow you to relate to the average experience. Like, again, we do it pretty clumsily through hide and seek, but it's still there. It's a pretty good little, you know, moral, and it rings true, I think. As Amane ages more and more here as well, the ability grows and grows. It's not only that she can see really far, she can now see through things. She lives in a valley, she lives far away from the ocean, but she can see through all the mountains all the way to the sea, to the horizon almost, you know? And this is when it gets, like, overwhelming. Imagine processing that much information at once. It's insane. You almost crave for it all to shut down and turn off, you know? Like, that's... I understand where she's coming from at the end of the episode, man. I really do. I guess that's probably the element of this that I didn't really explain fully either. It's not just that she's a blind girl that plays the biwa. It's that she also sees the future, which is, again, like, it's integral to Heike Monogatari. It's clearly, we're pulling from all that place. I wonder if there's something with biwa hoshi and, like, tying that into fortune telling maybe and clairvoyance. I think there's maybe something there too. In my very, very brief research, I couldn't see anything there, but I don't know. Please let me know. I would like to know. Yeah, from here the clairvoyance starts. She starts to shut her eyes more and more as the information is overwhelming. She starts to see through her own eyelids somebody's future and what might happen to them. And here's the crucial element, and the thing that we need to constantly consider throughout this. The things that she sees will always come true no matter what. They cannot be prevented. So it's not even that she's a help anymore. She's a hindrance. Like, it's great and all to know the date of your death. Like, imagine you could go to somebody, hey, you know when you're going to die, you know the exact date and time that it's going to happen. But what if they then told you that now can't be prevented? That is always going to happen. You cannot alter it no matter what. You know, you can't escape death in that same way. I mean, some Final Destination vibes there a little bit. That would be a curse now. I would not want to know that information. It would make me live in fear more than anything else. Because imagine if it was, like, 5 days from now, you know? Like, that would... I don't know what I would do, you know? That's crazy. I think this is another element that continues to other her from the community around her as well. She now becomes a resource. She became something for the community to come over and have a look at and to tell their future, you know? She's been commodified rather than being seen as a person. Again, it's all because of this Ganpaku. It's all because of this site being granted to me. Of course, I just want to shut that all off eventually, right? I feel like a slave. I feel like if people knew about this thing that I have, right, if I try to look into their future, I can, like, they're never going to trust me again. I'm never going to be considered like a normal human. That's so very tragic to me in retrospect. And I think this is the element here too. I think societally, eventually, they're like, okay, well, shit, if she keeps telling people's death and they can't prevent it, then I'm almost like, oh, you've now designated my death. You've had a role in telling me. So now the only people that come over and the only people we ask to tell fortunes are like thieves or unsavory types, right? That we almost want to die as well. You almost take on this cursed moniker because of what you've done. Yeah, it's interesting to see how this ability evolves and how the public responds. At this point, Amane kind of shuts herself off even more, but the ability continues to evolve to the point where both of the abilities are happening at the same time. Though she has her eyes closed, she can still see through everything, and at that same point, she also clairvoyantly sees what is going to happen next. So, as her father leaves on a little trip or whatever he does before he fucking dies, she's also seeing outside through her eyelids as well. It's becoming this overwhelming kind of mess of noise in her own eyes, you know, like she can't focus on anything. It's very, very crucial that we get this experience here because it's what Ginkgo doesn't ultimately see. And now that I've seen what she's living with this power, her decision to turn it all off, despite it on the surface level going against the show's themes, I completely agree with her. Like, this would be unbearable, you know? What would be better? Again, this is another hypothetical. Would you rather be deaf, or would you rather constantly hear this loud ringing noise incessantly the entire time that you have to hear, right? Whilst, like, hearing everything almost, you know? Like, I would almost rather be deaf. It would be... You could never get peace. Never ever. Even if you close your eyes, you can't turn them off. Like, that's where she's at, man. We do these kind of shots a lot as well, where we just kind of place the character on an all-white background, and it's often when a tragic moment happens or something. Again, her father doesn't return to her after this point. I feel like it's really pronounced. Feels very manga to me. I'd love to see this page in the adaptation, I guess, as well. I think that, again, they're almost one-to-one. So yeah, Dad dies. I use my clairvoyance to see where he is. I eventually go and bury him. And then I don't really feel like returning home. Like, I've done that. I have no other attachment to the area. I've been alienated from the community around me. I'd rather just travel now and find a new place to be and just play my biwa and do my thing. And yeah, it's almost like this ability has come to its natural conclusion almost by this point, you know. She's even struggling to be outside in the natural light now. She wants to stay inside. It's probably why she wears the hat that she does, right, that covers everything. Like, she doesn't want to... She doesn't want any of the light. She wants to hide from it as much as possible. So yeah, now we're firmly back in the hotel room and not really talking about the backstory anymore, and now it's like, okay, well, what do you want me to do with that information? You've kind of baited me in with the bury the eyeballs thing. What do you want me to do now? Because I'm not going to do that, says Ginkgo. Lo and behold, she's already seen it. It's already in place. We know that these eyeballs are going to be buried in the mountain, and it's going to be by you. And again, she's right. It does happen. It's crazy how it goes like that. It's weird here. Even she's almost knowledgeable that it's at the end of its life cycle, even now, based on her own clairvoyance. She's almost foreseen the point when these eyeballs kind of, you know, get out of me and go into the next thing, the next set of eyeballs that they see, right? That the Ganpaku moves on to the next thing. And again, part of the process of burying them is not wanting anybody to curse anybody with the same experience that I've had. And this is when Ginkgo defaults into Ginkgo mode, right? He sees getting rid of the eyes entirely as a pretty all-or-nothing approach, right? Similar to the fire from the previous episode. You shouldn't just wipe out this thing and bury it and get rid of it and everything, right? And it's very interesting these two episodes are one after the other, because episode 24 ums and ahs about it. I think there's genuine arguments for both sides here, but I think that she's just entirely correct. It is the best decision for her currently to just be rid of these things, to just get rid of it. Or again, in some other episodes we learn to live with the Mushi, in some other episodes, like think about the one where she inhales the flower or whatever the hell, and she continues to, you know, die and regen every single day and whatnot. Like, that's the opposite of this. What if she just wanted to be rid of that? We land so very differently on the spectrum based on the episodes, and I feel like that's constantly intriguing in the show, for sure. This is when they both try to go to sleep, and Ginkgo's still really torn about it, and I don't think I can swallow everything you've told me. I don't know if I can justify the things that I'm going to do. So let's talk about it some more. And again, as soon as Ginkgo did this, I'm like, okay, Ginkgo is personally affected here. He doesn't like what's happening. What's happened in Ginkgo's past that's even remotely similar. I think losing the eye, the one-eyed fish and whatnot. I think that's pretty integral, as well as the whole part where he's in the darkness, born within the darkness, emerged to the light. He is the precipice, as I continue to say. It moves him. He doesn't want to do this all or nothing thing. He's had this inspiring experience in the past where he saw the light again for the first time after being in the darkness for so very long. He doesn't want you to be cursed to eternal darkness. He doesn't want you to never have that salvation. But again, she counters. Too much salvation is a bad thing. And she predicts him at every turn. He starts to write a letter to another different Mushishi for advice. She says, hey, no, that letter won't give you anything useful. She's right. She's then like, okay, you just care deeply because you've also lost your other eye. She's like, well, shit, she's right. She actually is a clairvoyant. That did happen to me. I think this was an interesting point as well. And I'm sure we knew this, but Ginkgo has no memory of his life before that point, before he was Ginkgo, So, I never really thought about it like that. So yeah, he finally came out of that dark forest, into the light, saw the sun for the first time. I remember well how much I appreciated the sunlight back then. Aren't you scared of losing light forever if you are to go through this thing and become permanently blind? Lose your eyeballs even. Of course I'm scared, but a world with only light is just as scary. So again, I've just been on the different side of the spectrum. You were lost in the forest in the dark. I've been lost in the light. I just want to turn it all off. Yeah, it's two extremes, but I understand it. I really do. This is the killer line too. I think that living in the darkness, remembering the light, is not so bad either. So again, I can now curse myself to be eternally in the dark, but not like you, Ginkgo, with no memory of any other thing that happened. I've already made my memories with the short light that I had, right? I can now just remember my father and remember playing the biwa and remember, all the things that happened to me, where you didn't have that luxury. So maybe, again, my situation is a little bit different to yours. We do some, I guess, 11th hour stuff, Mushishi, explain hour stuff sometimes, where we just kind of, bulk explain something that's happening with the Mushi that wasn't particularly well set up. I don't know. Again, we needed a climax. We needed a reason for the eyeballs to come out, for that to happen very quickly. And I guess what we do here is fine. I do like the general idea of the eyes coming out of her head, finally seeing herself for the first time, and that almost acting as the clairvoyance. She's starting to see her own self. And again, that's the clue that, again, the Mushi itself has evolved to the point where it's separate from her. It's not giving her sight. It is now seeing her as a different, almost entity, and is able to, again, get clairvoyance off of that because of that, Yeah, does that mean that she is becoming another person to her eyeballs? Exactly. So Ginkgo predicts this. This must be happening tonight. Let's set up a net. There's this really cool effect now when, again, the eyeballs are at their final stage and about to exit the body, where her vision almost returns normal briefly again, but her eyeballs start moving on their own and she can't control her own vision. I think this is really creepy. I don't know how, what if it would feel like you're being mind controlled or something? It would not be ideal. Yeah, it's very creepy to me. I do think maybe there'll be more in the show. There was a brief scene there with Ginkgo kind of contemplating the nature of destiny and things needing to happen in a certain way, and him looking off into the sunrise whilst doing so. So could be something there maybe. I don't know. Very early in the episode, of course, there was that sunset. Now we're opening with a sunrise, and as the sun rises and as she wakes up, this Mushi is now activated. It's almost like we've done a cycle, and the life cycle of the Mushi is almost attached to the cycle of a day, and night setting in and the sun rising again. There's new beginnings and cycles and stuff all tied in there thematically. I think it's very well done. Once again. Oh yes, my biology lesson. I must, even without my eyes, my tears still flow. Yeah, I mean, I guess that was never really that intrinsically tied in, I guess. I don't know. You can kind of see that there. The tears, it would all be happening in the back and kind of go from the tear gland up here to, the tears kind of falling out of this part of the eye, and watering and spreading out the eye from there. I don't know, once again, probably something I've never really considered in that way. Probably something I've taken for granted, the idea of tears and attaching that into just my eyes. I never really I don't know, I didn't think about it. So, the fox. What's going on here? So, what she says is, I saw the moment that my eyeballs and their life came to an end. What does that mean? So Ginkgo's got this Mushi, he's buried it in the mountain, like the clairvoyant said, and then a fox has happened upon them, and apparently that is the moment where the life ends of her eyeballs. Now this could mean multiple things. I think most likely is that her life cycle ended with the eyeballs because they became somebody else's eyeballs. So they're now the fucking fox's eyeballs, and we have this clairvoyant fox, which is all very cool thematically and stuff. Obviously, that's a cool. Maybe we'll find this animal later. I don't know. That could be something. And again, she would stop seeing it because it becomes somebody else's sight. They're not her eyeballs anymore. It's the life of those eyeballs ending and the life of a new set of eyeballs starting. And it starts that cycle all over again, where first it enhances sight and then grants clairvoyance, and then, yeah, some crazy stuff happens. The other one, which I think is also intriguing, but probably less likely, is that the life cycle of the eyeballs end because this is a guardian of the mountain or something equivalent to that, where it looks at this Mushi and realizes it's not of this place, it shouldn't belong here. It's maybe even been up to some mischief, maybe even passes judgment on it and banishes it accordingly, protecting its own realm, much like the guardians of these places do. I like that interpretation as well. I think the first interpretation is probably more likely. Anyway, it's an awesome visual moment as well. It's unreal, man. And yeah, I mean, the end of her story is that she's just going to wander now. She doesn't know what she's going to do, but at least she's going to continue to live. Again, that central theme of the show, that central kind of tenet that the show lives by. I think she's just going to start to get her sea legs again, right? She's obviously got experience being blind, but it's going to be an adjustment again. And she's used to seeing the future of everybody. She's going to adjust to normalcy again. It's going to be oh so quiet for so very long. But she'll be back on her feet. Trust. I think she's going to be okay. I think maybe the idea of the lute is pretty important there as well, or the biwa, as I've been calling it. She'll just have this thing intrinsically kind of attached into sound that she'll just continue to try to be better with as well, and touch as well, to be playing it. So again, she has a hobby there. She has something to enhance and continue. She has something to maintain her livelihood. Maybe she's going to be okay on the other side. And yeah, with that, we'll end the episode there. Lovely again. I probably prefer 24, as I said before, but they're both amazing. They're both amazing episodes of a very, very good televisual program. And I yapped for way too long, so now I'm behind even again still. Awesome. Anyway, I'll see you next week. It may be a weird one-parter. We'll see. Patreon, obviously. Like the video, subscribe, all that other kind of stuff. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time. Ciao. Bye-bye.